What's up, you guys? Martin here,
I'm Ryan.
and welcome back to our channel.
His intro music. Alright, so today we are, taking a look back at 2024. It's the end of the year.
Yep.
And we were noticing, man, there's been a lot of good horror movies this year.
This year rocked with horror movies.
Yeah, honestly, so much so that we were like, what if we made a ranking of the horror movies of this year? And what we did is we both made our own top 10s, and then we just averaged it together, so that we just have one list between the two of us. Some things to sort of preface, this isn't necessarily the scariest horror movies of the year. Some of the movies in this list are really not scary at all, but they definitely classify as horror because of some of the content, the themes, the, monsters or blood and death. And hey, this is just sort of our opinions, but yeah. Good horror movies. There's going to be good horror movies that we left off, and we'll talk. I think at the end we'll try to, touch on some of the horror movies that didn't make the list, but maybe could have, and we wouldn't be, surprised if other people had them on their list. It's just we kind of had too much to choose from at the end of the day.
Right, and some of our picks are probably not your favorites, but it's what we thought was good for
our opinions.
Us.
It is convenient that we shared our number one, though.
This is true.
And we'll get to number one, but to start out,
let's do it.
At number 10 is a movie he has not seen.
Yeah.
But it made the list because I liked it so much, and I ranked it so high on my list. And this is one of the ones where I sort of preface, it's not the scariest horror movie, but at number 10 we have I Saw the TV Glow. I actually had an interesting experience with this movie because when I first watched it, I left it and I thought, I don't know how I feel about that. And my initial sort of thinking about it for a little bit was I like that movie, but I don't know if it was, it didn't feel like.
You needed time to soak?
Yeah, and the soaking in and the time passing, hearing other people sort of discuss the movie, the more I think back to it, I'm like, man, I really just dig the sort of the atmosphere of the movie, the themes of it, it is just sort of this one of a kind movie, and I've heard one person mention, a movie critic mention, how they look forward to how this movie will inspire other people to create. Because the movie, one of the major aspects of it is that it's sort of exploring its themes by using sort of a millennial nostalgia for 90s television, specifically sort of I would associate it with Are You Afraid of the Dark maybe, or maybe not so much Goosebumps, but maybe some Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That sort of it's just got this sort of 90s feel and vibe to it, but it's exploring a deeper theme that it's just a fine piece of film.
Top 10.
Yeah, he hasn't seen it, but I had it high enough on my list that it squeaked through. And there's going to be a few movies where one of us didn't have it on our top 10, but it made it through.
Right.
But with that, now we can move on to a movie that he can actually talk about, because we saw it together. At number 9 is Alien Romulus.
Alien.
Yeah, I think we both had this on our list.
Yes, we did. So I am not the biggest fan of Alien franchise or the Predator franchise. I'm just not. And hello, Nala.
She's the alien.
So yeah, I'm not a big I'm not a big fan of the franchise, but going into this, I felt very different. They made it just so fresh, and I was not bored. I wasn't bored whatsoever.
I think the best way to sort of look at this movie is they're basically trying to hit that middle ground of the first Alien and the second Aliens.
Yes.
And sort of meeting between those two movies in terms of tone and stuff. And when the movie works as a horror movie, it really works, and it's got some of the more suspenseful stuff of the year. I think both of us didn't have it close to our top on our list. We both had it in our top 10, but it was a little lower. I think it like maybe it's a little bit of a retread on the other Alien movies, but the fact that we haven't had a good Alien movie since the second one,
Right.
I think, you know, we're just sort of starved for something cool with Aliens because it's just it should be a no-brainer franchise. Like, Aliens are scary, space is scary,
Yeah.
but this is the first one in a long time to get it right. And I think the thing that sort of keeps me really liking this movie is the sort of choice they make at the end
Yes.
with the sort of alien creature we see.
Yeah. And he's scary.
Yeah, I think that's a highlight of the movie for me.
It was good.
Yeah.
Acting was good.
Yeah, good performances. I like the droid character.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I liked him.
He was good content. I've heard a lot of people not like the reuse of the droid from the first movie, and like they sort of like put his CG face.
Mm-hmm. I think it was fine.
I understood what they were going for. Like,
Right.
But yeah, so Alien Romulus, good movie.
It was.
And then we're gonna go to number 8.
8.
And at number 8 we have Abigail.
I loved Abigail. That was really high. That was pretty high on my list when we were going through it. I just thought I love vampires in general, so that's a no-brainer for me. But the cast in this movie were so great.
Cast, yeah,
they worked so well together. They were so funny, and that's one of those things. It was a scary movie, but it was also a comedy. In my
it was definitely humorous aspects. It definitely, I think it succeeds more at the humor than it does at like it's not necessarily a very scary movie.
Not, no. You see everything coming for the most part.
But it is definitely horrific and gruesome, and like you do get this little girl vampire covered in blood, like, and the main character girl covered in blood, like a lot of blood, and yeah.
I love the use of controlling people.
Yes.
Vampires have that power, so Abigail controlled a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
And it was cool, and she turned people, so it was great. I loved it. And again, this is another movie I was not bored at whatsoever. I wanted to see what was next.
Exactly, yeah. It definitely has this thing where you keep wanting to watch it. It's a good movie. Yeah. It's lower. He had it really high on his list.
I did.
And it didn't quite make my top 10. I still think it's good, though.
Yeah.
I do still think it's good. If you hear noise, it's just a cat playing around with toys. So, cats. They're pretty scary, huh?
Yeah.
No. So next up at number 7 is Late Night with the Devil.
That did not make my list.
No, it did not.
But I enjoyed the movie.
This movie is so good. If you have not seen it and you like, here's the thing. Again, is it jump scares? No, but it's got this like. First off, the whole movie's set with like it's like found footage of like a 70s like talk show. So like it all is set with this like very specific style and like camera grain and quality.
And everything takes place in that studio.
But like it's over the course of like a TV show recording, so like it's like this like build up to like bad stuff is gonna happen, and you see the bad stuff like sort of trickle, and you get like the all right, so this is where it's gonna go. You start to see where things are gonna happen, but then it gets there, but then it also does things you didn't expect it to do.
Yeah.
And the main performance, what's his name? I think it's Damien Desmat. I'm not gonna try to butcher his name. It's this. Maybe I should have looked at more people's names, because in the Abigail one, I wanted to name off all the actors and actresses, but like I was like, I don't know their name. I just know who
Look
they
it
are.
up, guys. Look it up.
But the main actor in Late Night with the Devil, gives a great performance.
He does.
You've seen him in things before, I'm sure. He was in Oppenheimer. He was in The Suicide Squad. He's a recognizable face, and yeah, I think this one was a Shudder original. So if you have Shudder, because maybe you like Shudder and you like horror movies, so that's why you're watching this. But if you haven't seen this movie, it should be available to stream on Shudder. I think it might be on other streaming services because it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I think it got controversy because they used AI for like in like the TV show, there's like the "we'll be right back with you" images, and I think they used AI for that, and people got upset. But I think that's a very small aspect of the movie. It's not like the whole thing of the movie, and it's still a good work.
And it was a really good movie.
Yeah,
honestly.
All right, at number 6, I just want to lean to my side. You lean that way. And who's that? Who might that be?
That's Art the Clown.
Art the Clown? So that must mean number 6 is Terrifier 3.
It was higher on my list.
Yes, it was.
So being 6 is a little bummer.
So here's the thing. This movie succeeds at being a Terrifier movie.
It is
so supremely. The gores and kills in this movie are wild. And that's saying something if you've seen the first 2 Terrifiers, which I watched just to, go see this one.
Yes.
But this one really sort of cranks it up. There's
bigger budget.
Yeah.
It's more storyline.
Yeah. I think where I didn't have the movie in my top 10 is that at the end of the day, I don't super care about the storyline going on.
Okay, that's fair.
I think the main girl actress who's become sort of the lead of the franchise after the second one is it's interesting, but I also just don't like it. It feels a little convoluted, but I don't really care about that plot. I'm just sort of there to see what Art does, because I think Art the Clown is just such a as gruesome and fucked up as he is, he's performed so excellently. He is like a horror
so many
icon.
expressions.
And I
love David. David I've met a few times, and that's the actor from Art the Clown.
Yeah.
He is the sweetest, nerdiest guy you could ever meet. Let's just say when they filmed this movie, he threw up on stage.
Yeah.
Because it was too much for even Art the Clown.
And they gave, in certain theaters, they were allegedly giving barf bags.
Yeah.
We didn't have that at our theater.
No. And I didn't feel like throwing up. I was just like, oh.
It's wild. It's a wild movie, though.
It's great, though. And I'm so happy for all of them. They started this with a low budget thing, just a guy wanting to make a movie. And they just went, and all of a sudden, it's huge now.
I will say, of the Terrifier movies, I think this one's probably the best.
It is the best.
Yeah.
No, I think it's my favorite.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas time in Art the Clown world.
It is Christmas. And it's Christmas here. Well, Christmas past.
Yeah.
But it's Christmas
It was great.
time.
It was great.
Jingle bells. La la la. All right, so we're getting into our top 5.
All right.
And if we're talking about potential horror icons of the future, I think there's a lot of potential for making a franchise out of In a Violent Nature.
Oh, so good. And maybe I'm just hyping it up because I enjoyed it so much. I don't think a lot of people would like it, but it's basically you're in the eyes of the killer.
Yeah, the entire movie, well, up to a certain point, the entire movie is you're just
you're the eyeballs.
You're the eyes behind the killer as he's walking and going
and stalking the teenagers.
Yes, I'd say if you remove that aspect, the movie seems very reminiscent of a Friday the 13th style classic slasher. The killer, in fact, has a strong, I'd say, Jason vibe to him.
Yeah, he's buff. He's big.
Yeah.
I hate the way he looks, though. I hate his mask.
The mask they chose, it's like an old fireman's mask or something.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, I said this when we left the movie. Jason didn't start off with his original mask the first time he appeared on screen.
He had a burlap
so
sack.
there is the chance that they could pick a different mask going forward.
This mask was just... It killed me. I'd rather have him not have a mask. He looked like a zombie.
Yeah. I am maybe they just don't want to do the zombie makeup for every scene he's in. But you don't even see his face, so I don't even know if that's a good point. But yeah.
But it was great.
And
the kills in this movie.
There's one specific kill. If you've seen the movie, you know what it is.
What do they call it? The yoga?
Or
the cliffs? People are
yoga,
calling it a certain thing.
They're if you've seen the movie, you know what it is. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to see a crazy kill, I'm going to be real. The craziest kill in this movie is crazier than anything Art the Clown has done.
Yes.
It's
wild. It's so creative.
it's pretty out there.
It's like, damn, they all sat around and were like, okay, we're gonna do this. Let's coming up with kills. This was great.
Yeah, this movie really just does. I see a future in the creatives of this movie.
Yes.
I think where you got to docket points is in the acting of the people. Like the opening scene is like you hear like them talking about like, oh yeah, we found this thing. Yeah, it's like painfully bad.
And a lot of people
sometimes.
don't like the fact that you hear the voiceovers.
Yeah.
So you hear
oh,
talking.
it's all like ADR'd.
Yeah, so you see people walking and they're supposed to be talking, but they're not.
Yeah, like it is entirely. I think the only time it's not ADR is when it does.
It's like close
at
face
the
to
end-
face.
It's like at the end of the movie, it's changed it. But like but I don't. It's clearly like a lower budget
Experimental.
movie, so I'm not gonna ding it too much on that. But maybe get a little better. Take a few more takes on some of the line delivery.
Yeah.
Because some of the line delivery is very stiff and wooden, and I just feel like they could have had it be a little better.
Yeah.
But good movie, solid horror, kind of an instant horror classic in my opinion.
Yes.
Now, at number 4, this is. I prefaced it at the beginning. Some of these movies are not necessarily scary movies, and I've actually heard most people talk about, like most critics talk about this movie in an unfavorable light. But we both walked out of this movie and we were just like, wow, that was like great. That was like a classic. Lisa Frankenstein.
I love Lisa Frankenstein.
It harkens back to like a classic sort of 80s 90s, like a Tim Burton-esque like
Edward Scissorhands.
Beetlejuicy vibe.
I loved it.
And like is it a perfect movie? Maybe not, but it just filled me. Maybe I am just sort of egging on the nostalgia, but like I'm just like the whole time I'm delighted by it.
And you did mention if you grew up with that movie,
It would be
have been your favorite.
movie.
You would have watched it all the time.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. If this movie existed when I was like a kid or a teenager, I would watch this movie like every Halloween.
It'd be like a Goonies, or it'd be like a Nightmare Before Christmas.
It would feel like a classic, and I think maybe people. I don't quite understand the critiques of the movie.
I think it was great.
I just loved it. I love the lead performances.
And then the producer is Robin Williams' daughter.
Zelda Williams.
That's
I like
cool
that.
too.
Yeah. And then the lead actress, I don't know her name. I apologize. She was also in Abigail, but she does a great job. Cole Sprouse as the zombie. Another movie, I want to quickly mention it because it's like weirdly very a similar movie, is a movie called Your Monster, which just basically follows a girl who's like falls in love with the monster in her closet that's been in her closet all her life.
Yeah.
And so I think the movies have a very similar theming to it. So I think it's funny that they both came out this year and they both star women that were in the movie Abigail.
Yeah, and she was also in Scream.
Yes, not anymore.
The one that got 5.
Melissa Barrera.
Yeah. But it was a good movie too.
But yeah, so that movie, I just want to sort of highlight it. Like Lisa Frankenstein of the two I like better, but I think both movies sort of like accomplish something really unique that I like. But going forward, our top 3 movies are all definitely in the line of, oh, this is gonna like freak people out a little.
Okay.
Or at least they're more easily identifiable as horror. Like you watch the movie and you're like, oh yeah, that's horror. Number 3 is the American remake of Speak No Evil.
So good.
It's very good.
I was like stressed out.
Yeah.
That movie in a good way. Like I just didn't know what was gonna happen. And yes, the trailers we kept seeing a lot when we go to theaters.
The trailer
and we thought,
gives away a lot.
But here's the thing. That was my point. I was still very surprised in the movie. Like I feel like as much as we seen the trailer, I still was shocked and surprised the stuff in the movie.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of impressed at how much you don't see of the movie in the trailer, but while the trailer shows you stuff deep into the movie, like stuff that you really like, the movie hits you a lot different than what the trailer scenes show you. But though I did find myself being like, well, when's that scene I saw in the trailer gonna happen?
Yeah. Very good.
This is one we missed getting to see in theaters, but we still, got around to it, and I'm glad we did because it ended up really being even better than I think either of us thought it was going to be.
The actors are great. I loved everything about it. The plot, I loved everything. I don't want to give anything away because some of you guys haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen, go watch it.
It's very good.
Very good.
And now getting to number 2, and this was my number 2. He had it a little bit lower, but Smile 2. Can we talk about Smile 2?
Smile 2.
That movie is crazy.
So good.
I watched the first Smile just to prepare because I wanted to go see this new one, and I didn't want to watch the original Smile because it had something I don't like that happens in movies in it, specifically involving an animal's death. But I thought the first Smile, it was quite good. It was darker than I thought it would be. I didn't expect it to end the way it did.
Yeah.
And then I'm glad I watched it because Smile 2 begins with basically, it's following up on the first Smile. They're not completely separate movies. But Smile 2 just takes such a crazy direction.
It's good.
And the lead performance, the lead actress, I can't remember her name. Is it Naomi? I can't remember. But she is great in this movie.
She's like the singer. She's like a pop star.
Yeah. I've seen her before as the live action Princess Jasmine. And she's unrecognizable, quite frankly.
She doesn't look like that.
But oh god!
But it was great.
It's
and the music. I love the music.
The music is very good. Like the music, like if you compare this to Trap, which almost made the list because it was on his list, and it was like it would have been like my number 11. I could like Trap is like kind of a mess of a movie, but I love it.
Well,
But
Smile, like the kills were crazy.
Yeah, Smile sort of succeeds.
It made me jump a few times. Maybe because it was in theaters.
It was. I think it's maybe the scariest movie of the year. Maybe like the actual like sort of suspenseful.
I guess so. I could see that.
It's hard to say because none of the movies were that scary.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think this movie is the one that sort of got me to jump the most, if anything. And like the choice it makes at that end, I saw it coming. I had a feeling that's how it was going to end, and you were pleased. I was pleased as punch at how that movie ended, and I just walked out. I'm like, oh wow, that was incredible.
It was good.
Was a great movie. That was so good.
Definitely good.
All right, but so
let me
what's number 1?
This.
What is both of our favorite horror movies of the year, and in fact your favorite movie of the year?
It's my favorite movie of the entire year.
Yes.
Okay. It is the best thing I've seen in a long time. It is The Substance.
It came out on my birthday.
It is body horror.
Oh, it is the body horror.
It is something I've never seen or experienced in my life. When it comes to a movie, the idea of being young and trying to stop growing old, but the repercussions of it's so good.
Can we just talk about Demi Moore?
Demi Moore deserves an award, and I hope she gets one.
I think ever since Hereditary, there's been, to me, every year I find myself finding like a horror movie where I'm like, oh, this deserves awards. Like this lead actress, she should be nominated for Best Actress. Like Toni Collette deserved it, Florence Pugh deserved it in Midsommar. I'm sure there's other cases where like a horror performance in a horror movie deserved like awards consideration. The Substance is actually kind of on track to maybe get,
I hope,
it got nominated for a Golden Globe for best I think it was in the comedy musical category. It is a horror comedy. There's definitely funny stuff in it,
but there is some very intense things.
But yeah, Demi Moore performance great. Margaret Qualley, I feel like this year was the first time I saw her in anything. She was in Drive Away Dolls, which was meh. She was in that one movie, it had Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons in it.
I don't know.
It was like, it had like 3 different stories.
Oh!
Yeah. Kinds of Kindness. She was in
That movie was exhausting.
That
That's
movie-
another. I was over it.
I liked it. It's not one of my favorites though. But and then this, like she's got something. She's got the gas. Like, I don't know if she deserves an Oscar or awards for her performance in this movie, but she does have that star quality where I can see her proving herself going forward. And Dennis Quaid
Yeah. Yeah. It was good.
is a great movie, phenomenal.
Demi Moore, I've never seen her act in something like this.
Yeah, like
It's so out of her like zone of acting.
I think it was like a very brave performance too. Because
Yeah, she's
like,
naked.
Yes.
So if you want to see Demi Moore naked, go
yeah,
watch it.
but she's like naked in a way that's like it's like
about age.
it doesn't feel like you're like objectifying her. She's being objectified, or you're like looking at her body and you're supposed to be like it's like there's like it almost makes me like feel like how do people sort of perceive their own bodies? Like when Demi Moore is obviously an attractive person, she's a famous actress and she is very obviously attractive, but like even she's going through insecurities in this movie. It's also worth noting she's playing a character 10 years younger than herself, but she looks like she's younger than the character she's playing.
Yeah.
Because she's like actually 60. The character she's playing, I think, is 50, and she doesn't even look that old.
No, and basically the movie, her aging and her not liking her body, so she do anything to look beautiful again. It's wild.
Yeah. It's and the way that it ends, that sort of last act
That was
of the
fucking
movie,
trip.
It was a trip. I have one qualm with it, and it has to do with a child's presence in a scene that I don't think the kid needs to be there. But that aside, it's one of the most cool fucking scenes I've seen.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. The sound, the music in this
Ooh.
movie, great,
Everything.
excellent. Oh my god,
Everything.
but yeah, so The Substance,
Favorite.
easily the best horror movie of
Favorite.
the year for both of us. But now, before we sort of wrap up, what other horror movies did we miss? I think an obvious one that didn't make our list was Nosferatu.
I loved it.
I think
beautiful.
Lily Rose Depp was great. Bill Skarsgård was great. All the acting performances were very solid. I think I just don't.
You said it was too long.
I thought it was too long. I think we had a bad theater experience.
We did, so I kind of put in
Like
to
we
experience.
weren't necessarily in the best headspace to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it was like
It was a beautiful movie.
It-
If you
it
like
was-
things like Victorian age, like Sleepy Hollow, those kind of things, you will love this movie.
And if you like Robert Eggers' other movies like The Northman, The Lighthouse, The Witch, which I still think The Witch is his best movie, but you need to rewatch it.
I'm not watching that.
The movie's great.
It's not.
It's so good.
It's not.
It's his best
I
movie.
hate it.
But if you like his other movies, I think you're going to be geared up to like Nosferatu. What are some other ones? We mentioned Trap. We mentioned... I want to mention The First Omen. I remember it being a good movie. I just don't really remember it too well. I think there's a problem in that I can't really separate it easily in my mind from that movie Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney, because they're both about pregnant nuns.
They both sucked.
Birthing like Antichrist. And they came out way too close to each other. But First Omen was easily the better of the two. This cat's dragging the
He just
Christmas
dragged the Christmas tree everywhere.
I want to talk about Sting. It's another movie he didn't
Hell
see.
no.
A big giant spider.
I don't like spiders,
You don't like spiders.
and I will not watch it.
What was there was something we saw recently that had a big spider in it. You were like, no.
Melanie Martinez's new music video.
Oh, that's what it was. He was like, no. Maxine, the
Hated
end
it.
of the X trilogy.
Hated it.
I liked it. I think
boring.
I liked
It was
it
the
more
worst out of
watching
the other
it.
two.
Kevin Bacon as the sort of like a southern drawl detective. He's quite entertaining
he's
in
fun.
it. He's quite delightful. And like it's and Mia Goth
She's great.
put her in anything. I'm gonna enjoy it.
She's great.
You still need to watch Infinity Pool. But yeah, I think that's and Heretic.
Heretic.
I honestly, I'm surprised it didn't end up making the list. I think it actually probably should have. I may have miscounted, to be honest. Heretic should be on this list.
I liked it, but towards the end, it was a bummer. It was a downer.
I
It
will
was great
say.
leading up, and then the end was just blah.
I don't think it sort of stuck the landing ultimately, but it was a very good movie,
Yeah.
and Hugh Grant's performance is solid. Very
Mormons.
solid.
If
And
you hear me, Mormons, don't knock on doors. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch this movie.
well, it's not. You don't knock on doors. It's just don't go inside.
Don't go inside.
If you see Hugh Grant, run away. He's scary. But yeah, let us know. Are there horror movies that we haven't mentioned that you're like, what? This was the best horror movie of the year. How did you not see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Or and then there's like certainly a handful of movies where I was like, oh, that's a good. Oh, but is that really a horror movie or is it more of a thriller? Like Don't Move on Netflix. I was like, it's a little bit more of a thriller than a horror movie, but it's definitely like maybe a little borderline. Yeah, just let us know. What did we miss? What do we need to go check out? Or do you agree with our list? Have you seen The Substance?
It
Have
needs
you
to
seen
win.
The Substance?
Substance.
It's
Demi Moore.
It's on Mubi.
Courtney Cox.
Get it. You can get a 7-day
I'm
free
kidding.
trial.
Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox.
People get them confused.
I see it. I very much see it. I also, you know who I also see it with? Sarah from Labyrinth.
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it.
see that.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah.
So, yeah, you guys.
Horror movies.
That was our top 10 of the year.
Top 10 horror movies.
Horror movies, yeah.
Yeah. Is it our favorite? How does it line up with our actual favorites of the year? Who knows?
All right, you guys. Hope you enjoyed this review end of year horror ranking. If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, favorite, share with your friends and family for more content. And until next time, you guys, don't be a lemon.
Be the substance.
Peace. I want to be young.